My name is Brian Benz. I teach at Point Loma High School. I taught 5 years before that at an all special ed school. Mostly advanced physics is what I teach now. So I've taught physical science, physics, advanced physics, AP physics, kind of stay right in the physics because it's needed and I really know how to teach it. In the physics sampler workshop that I designed, each and every day there was a pretty major project that was going to be done, as well as in the morning we do labs that help us learn things about physics, and then in the afternoon we apply those skills we've learned in the labs to a project. The second day that I met with students, it was a day that we were starting to look at motion a little bit more in depth. One of the things that when we study acceleration that's very easy to study is the Earth's gravitational field accelerates pretty constantly near the surface. So what we did is we used that and sideways motion with downward motion to get independence of motion, and then based on that, if we take like what we used is a ramp and a ball bearing, the ball bearing would exit at a certain speed, and depending on how high that ramp was above the ground, the ball bearing would land in a certain place. Well, using the kinematic equations of physics, we can predict fairly accurately where those are going to land. And what I do is I make a target for the kids to tape to the floor, and then we put carbon paper over it, and as the ball bearing hits, it'll make a little mark. The basics is it's kind of like the ball bearing is our stunt person, and if the stunt person hits anywhere on the paper, they've hit the safety net, you've done your job. So that was, we did that in the classroom from about a meter high, and then we took it outside the classroom using the same skills, the same ramps, and we did it from about, I think it was 5 to 6 meters high for a staircase we had outside. That was a projectile motion one to really get you into the kinematic equations of physics. Today we did bridge building. So I designed setups that students can build out of very basic materials, a beam bridge, and then the second bridge is a suspension bridge, and the third bridge is what's called a cable-stayed bridge. So the groups were presented with those 3 different types of bridges, and then I just let them go and figure out how to separate it themselves. So the group dynamics that happened during that were different for the groups, but they were all successful. So one of the things I want to do is build skills of distance versus time graphs, velocity versus time graphs, and acceleration versus time graphs, how they're related, how we can go from one to another, and then how the beginnings of calculus comes really from a velocity versus time graph. What I'd really like them to have is the basic skills of being able to interpret graphs, add some mathematics to the graphs, also to have some fun in doing this stuff tangibly with their hands, to kinesthetically get their fingers on things, instead of a lot of physics teachers don't like the stuff with projects and they like kids just to work out of books and do the problems and do the math, and then physics becomes this floating thing out there that's just this math thing. It's not something tangible, and so I'm really trying to give them a foundation of this stuff that I didn't understand, but now I do, trying to get it to them earlier so they can do better things throughout their life.
My name is Melissa Carter. I'm a researcher at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. My actual position is a programmer analyst, so actually work up data, work with researchers to answer questions about the ocean. This summer I'm teaching a 1-week ocean sciences workshop. What I'm interested in is exposing all the students in this class to all the different environments in the ocean and all the different fields of study that there are. So they're getting field trips with the Southwest Fisheries Science Center, they're getting field trips going down to Scripps and collecting samples off the pier. We're going to look at plankton tomorrow, go to the tide pools. So I think it's a really fun, interactive way for students to learn about the ocean. So on the first day, what we learned was basic ocean circulation and learning about temperature and salinity, that those are necessary parameters to know to act for oceanography. And so we went down and actually collected samples at Scripps Pier, collect temperature and salinity samples as part of the longest continuous time series. And that's been ongoing since 1916. So the kids were able to participate in that, see how we collect surface and bottom samples, the instruments that we used with it. And then we also went up to see the advanced spray gliders, and we saw the spray glider lab. And that is the highest technology that's used right now to actually get temperature, salinity information from the ocean. What I hope the students will walk away from this class is a better understanding of the ocean in general, that there are a bunch of different fields of science, and that oceanography is actually a science that requires almost every field of science. Engineering is especially important, but also biology, geology, physics. So every field can be applied to oceanography. So that's one important thing I wanted everyone to know, that they could be interested in it no matter what their interests were. And then second, I hope that I'll be able to teach them some why it's necessary to learn about the ocean, just because we've just been learning facts and great things like that, but then I want to tie it all together for them and tell them about conservation, how that's working, and what we can do to make the ocean a better place.